In a world where global threats are shifting and great powers are testing America's resolve, one senator is cutting through the noise with a clear message. Our national security starts in the Pacific, and it starts with preparation, respect, and truth. Senator Mazie Hirono isn't just talking about defense. She's talking about redefining what it means to protect America, not just from enemies abroad, but from complacency within.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to each of you. I'll start with two foundational questions that I ask all nominees relevant to fitness to serve. We'll start with Mr. Dahmer and go down the line. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature?
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
Mr. Borders, several of the critical service training areas across Hawaii are leased from the state and are set to expire in the next few years. And these leased lands are vital to ensuring training and readiness in the Pacific. However, the lands in question also hold cultural significance to the Native Hawaiian community. So will you commit to continue engaging in good faith with state officials and the community to ensure Air Force land retention and leases are renegotiated in a way that is fair to the state, the people of Hawaii, and the military?
Senator, I was fortunate enough to spend 3 years of my career in Hawaii at Indo-Pacific, and I have an appreciation for the deep connection that Hawaiians have with the land. If confirmed, you have my commitment that that will absolutely go into any decision or discussion that we have.
Thank you. I'm glad that you understand the sensitivities and the importance of making sure that the community input is there. For Mr. Dahmer, since the administration has identified China as a pacing threat to U.S. national security and the Indo-Pacific as the priority theater, I am concerned about reports that indicate that perhaps the draft national defense strategy deprioritizes the pacing challenges posed by China, and if confirmed, you will be responsible for implementing this change through critical DoD documents like the Defense Planning Guidance. What risk would deprioritizing China and the Indo-Pacific pose to U.S. national interest?
Well, Senator, thank you for the opportunity to address this. I think Secretary Hegseth was clear as recently as last week that while Homeland Defense, defending our own homeland, is the #1 priority of the department, and I would note the previous two national defense strategies under both a Republican and a Democratic administration prioritized defending our own homeland over all other duties of the department and the joint force, that China remains the pacing threat of the department, and that this strategy and the focus of the department actually increases the focus on China as our principal rival and as our pacing threat. Again, as Secretary Hegseth noted last week, I wouldn't want to get ahead of the President and the Secretary in going too much into the draft national defense strategy, but if confirmed, I would look forward to the opportunity to brief you in the committee in the appropriate setting.
In acknowledging China as a continuing pacing threat, it is important that we continue to focus various resources, our resources on the Indo-Pacific. And as Admiral Paparo, our Indo-Pacific commander, has said, the homeland is in the Pacific. National security is very much, should be focused on the Pacific. Mr. Borders, the joint basing contract between the Navy and Air Force, you can call it a contract, at Pearl Harbor, Hickam, has led to extensive infrastructure restoration and military construction delays in the Hickam airfield. And I visited the airfield and looked at the runways. And so the delays have impacted the military's operational readiness in the Pacific. If confirmed, what efforts will you take to improve coordination with the Navy to address the extensive challenges, particularly at Hickam Airfield? Mr. Borders.
Senator, for me, it is extremely important that our installations across CONUS, OCONUS, are resilient installations capable of projecting power. As I understand this issue, this really is going to require a lot of close coordination with the Navy. And should I be confirmed, that will be a priority for me to make sure that this installation in particular and this relationship with the Navy is solid and moving forward.
And then we need to fix the underinvestment at Hickam, and especially when you see the runways that are not even ready for the kind of weight that a fully stocked plane will have. So even the Navy has acknowledged that we need to fix those runways. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What we just heard from Senator Mazie Hirono wasn't just a standard Senate exchange about defense policy. It was a lesson in how leadership, empathy, and strategic clarity can coexist in American security thinking. Hirono doesn't just ask questions to fill time. She's setting the moral and strategic boundaries for how we define national security in the modern world. From the moment she begins, notice how she grounds her questioning in ethics. She asks each nominee if they've ever engaged in sexual harassment or misconduct, questions that, to some, may sound routine. But think about what that symbolizes. For Hirono, character and accountability are not optional traits in public service. They are the foundation. She's reminding the committee and the country that national defense starts with personal integrity. Because if those in charge of our most powerful institutions cannot be trusted to respect the people around them, how can they be trusted to safeguard democracy itself? That's not a throwaway line of questioning. It's the moral preamble to everything that follows. Then she turns to something much deeper, Hawaii's role in U.S. defense strategy. When Hirono raises the issue of military leases on native Hawaiian lands, she's highlighting a tension that goes far beyond logistics. It's about reconciliation between defense and dignity, between the U.S. military's global mission and the local, living history of the people whose land it occupies. She reminds these defense officials that the Pacific isn't just a map of bases and training zones. It's a place with people, culture, and sacred ground. And the message is subtle but powerful. You cannot claim to defend democracy abroad if you ignore justice and fairness at home. That's leadership, balancing national interests with cultural respect, ensuring that readiness never becomes exploitation. But the conversation quickly widens into something much larger, America's strategic focus. Senator Hirono points to reports suggesting that China, long acknowledged as the U.S.'s primary pacing threat, might be losing priority in draft defense strategy documents. Her concern cuts to the core of U.S. global posture. She's asking the critical question, can America afford to take its eyes off the Pacific? Because the Pacific is not just another region. It is the geopolitical crossroads of the 21st century, the place where trade routes, technology, and military influence will define the next era of world order. And Hirono knows it. She's essentially warning, if we allow political distractions, domestic polarization, or bureaucratic reshuffling to weaken our Pacific strategy, we risk not just losing influence, we risk losing stability itself. China's military expansion, its island building in the South China Sea, its naval modernization, and its growing partnerships with nations like Russia and Iran all point to a world where U.S. deterrence can no longer be assumed. And when Hirono says the homeland is in the Pacific, she's reframing how we think about defense. It's not about distant threats, it's about immediate realities. Hawaii, Guam, and the broader Indo-Pacific region are not peripheries, they are the front line. And what makes this moment even more significant is how she connects strategy to infrastructure. When she raises the problem of Hickam Airfield, deteriorating runways, delayed projects, and inter-service coordination failures, she's exposing a quiet but dangerous weakness, our readiness gap. You can have the most advanced aircraft in the world, but if your runways are cracked, if your logistics chains are slow, if your facilities are outdated, your deterrence is only as strong as your concrete. Hirono understands that readiness isn't theoretical, it's physical. It's about whether American forces in the Pacific can actually move, launch, and respond when a crisis hits. And that's what separates her from many others who talk about strength in abstract terms. For Hirono, strength is not about bluster. It's about investment in people, in infrastructure, in strategy, and in trust. She demands that the nominees commit not only to military power, but to operational credibility and to doing it in a way that respects both national security and local communities. This hearing, then, isn't just about policy, it's about perspective. Mazie Hirono is reminding Washington that national security isn't only defined by where we send our troops, it's defined by how we think about the world. Her approach blends ethics, empathy, and geopolitics, showing that you can be strong without being arrogant, strategic without being exploitative, and patriotic without losing sight of humanity. In a time when American politics often feels reactive, chasing headlines, stoking fear, or framing power as a zero-sum game, Hirono's voice stands out.